I'd like to offer a special comment about the Ravi Zacharias scandal. By now, if you're a Christian in America, you have heard of the wicked and vile behavior of the late Ravi Zacharias, a well-known apologist and speaker in the evangelical world, or as I like to call it, pop American evangelicalism. I'm not going to spend a lot of time rehashing it here, but I feel there are very few things that I have observed that I'd like to share. Let me give you a little history. Back in 2004, I was invited to attend an annual banquet for Ravi's ministry. That was also a fundraiser. This was the first and only time I heard Ravi speak live. I remember that night for two reasons. First, it was the night Ronald Reagan died. This was announced at the event. And second, the gal that I brought as my, quote, date, we were just friends, would be the last girl I'd take on a date before meeting my wife, which happened, ironically, 2 weeks after this event. Now, Ravi hit all the right notes that night. It was clear that he was able to capture a crowd as a speaker, and I am sure the event raised a lot of money for his ministry. I also used a lot of Ravi's resources as a college student and while serving on staff with crew. Needless to say, I was a fan. So when I started hearing about the allegations and the reports of his gross behavior and the evidence of how he manipulated and used women to commit adultery and abuse them, I was upset and I was shocked. I believe these stories and my heart aches for these victims. I'm glad this has come out, not because I enjoy seeing a person fall, but Ravi's conduct and behavior was a reproach and stain upon the body of Christ and the visible church. This needed to be exposed, and the victims of Ravi's behavior deserve justice. Now, whether they receive it will be another matter altogether, and that's what I want to discuss here. Do you know what the worst thing about this scandal is? It's that nothing in pop American evangelicalism will change. You see, Ravi was allowed to get away with this behavior because his product made publishers lots and lots of money. A conference with him headlining it guaranteed a large crowd. Pop American evangelicalism is big business. It's not a ministry. And as long as the dollars flowed in, Ravi could continue abusing and sexually manipulating women. As they say, quote, follow the money. Now, you might deduce from what I'm saying that the problem in pop American evangelicalism is that publishing companies and other business benefactors that enable people like Ravi. And some of that is true. But the only reasons these places exist is because there are willing buyers. Now, let me give you an example. I often hear people in my circles complain about politicians they don't like. Example, Bernie, AOC, Trump, Pelosi, etc. And something that I remind those people is that it's easy to dislike those politicians and make them a scapegoat for all the ills in the political realm. But what I constantly say is that instead of doing that, they should be more concerned that a majority of people in a district, state, or multiple states saw these people, agreed with them, and voted them in. That should be more concerning. Not the individual politicians, but a majority of people voted these people in. Now, how does this apply or relate to Ravi Zacharias? Well, the only way Ravi was able to continue doing what he was doing was because there were people willing to overlook these things and continue buying his books and financially supporting his ministry. You see, Ravi was only able to continue his debaucherous behavior because there was a willing public buying his materials. And when accusations of his adultery and abuse against him began to surface a few years ago, most of his willing buyers and financial backers decided to continue supporting him despite listening to these credible accusations. They were enabling him. The only thing that could stop him was if people stopped buying his materials. And that is why nothing in pop American evangelicalism will change. This scandal will be forgotten and another one will surface. There will be outrage, credible accusations will be made, but people will still buy and enable these abusive celebrities and call these accusers all kinds of wicked names. They'll scream things like, but King David sinned, and ultimately will continue buying their products. And that is the real tragedy. People must change before societies can. You think about that. Have a good evening.